In this lesson, we will focus on the next 5 columns in our data table. No, we won't manipulate these columns in any way. They will be left without a change. Nonetheless, we believe they will be important for our analysis, and so they are worth some preliminary discussion. Transportation expense is a subcategory of travel expenses. Travel expenses are costs related to business travel, such as fuel, parking, meals, and other charges an employee may claim for reimbursement. This means transportation is just one of those potential costs. In our table, this column contains monthly transportation expenses of an individual, measured in dollars. Checking the data type of the numbers contained within it, we see it is a NumPy's int64. Which means under transportation expense, we have integer values only. Why don't we have floats? Well, we can assume the values recorded in the dataset have been rounded either up or down. At the end of the day, a few cents wouldn't change the potential impact this variable could have on the explanation of absenteeism from work, right? By the same token, the distance to work contains rounded numbers only. Each value you see in this column represents the kilometers an individual must travel from home to work. We want to keep this feature in our analysis because it might turn out that the distance or the time spent traveling will affect the decision of an employee to be absent during working hours. Okay, moving on. The next column we have is age. There's not much to be said about this variable. Of course, how old a person is could always have an impact on her or his behavior. As is often done in research, the age of a person has been rounded down. That's why the data type exhibited in this column is an integer too. Next, we have daily work load average. It is a float value and represents the average amount of time spent working per day, shown in minutes. We are not going to delve into details about how these values have been calculated precisely. But from looking at them, we could understand that a person works roughly 4 hours a day or 3.5 hours a day, and so on. Not too much, but for some types of companies, this is perhaps normal. Anyway, we will keep these numbers in our analysis and will not focus on the way they've been estimated. The last feature to be discussed here is the body mass index. Of course, it is an indicator for an under, normal, overweight, or even obese person. Logically, people who weigh above the norm for their height often have an additional reason for being absent from work. That's why we've included the body mass index in our regression analysis. Again, only integers will represent the values in this column. Stay tuned for the next video, where we will continue with the pre-processing part of this exercise by manipulating the data in the next column, education. See you there!